Zac Harmon is my special guest today on Blues America, where the current topic of the conversation is Zac's new album, Right Man, Right Now. Zac, as you mentioned, this album is a commentary on things going on in life, which I think speaks to the song playing in the music bed right now, Stand Your Ground, a great blues single with a deeper meaning. Tell us about this song.
Well, I mean, as many people in America, I was really saddened and shocked at what happened to Trayvon Martin. And I felt it was just a travesty of American justice. And so one night I wondered what would Trayvon say if he had the opportunity to talk right now. And that song came out.
Just to stand your ground.
Taking you down to the crossroads. You ready? You ready? You ready?
Every day brings a new challenge.
You grew up in Mississippi, Jackson, Mississippi, a place which some people would consider the motherland of blues roots, and your father was a big part of your story, and especially because he introduced you to many of his friends, including Sam Myers. What do you remember about Sam?
Well, Sam was quite a guy, man. I mean, you know, Sam was one of the he was one of the real blues pioneers, you know. I mean, he was one of the guys that was around, you know, during the serious creation days, you know, and, you know, Sam played drums with Delmore James, you know, Sam played with a lot of the other Chicago guys, you know, Sam played trumpet, drums, harmonica, you know, and of course he was a great singer. And Sam and my dad were good friends, you know. I started playing with Sam when I was like about 16 years old. And he taught me so much about the blues. You know, I'm part of the legacy of the blues, you know, but I was not born during that time. You know, I didn't have the same experiences that, say, Sam did or my dad did when they were growing up. I came during a different time frame. So to hear the stories, the old stories about how the guys traveled on the road and how they conducted themselves and sort of, you know, like the code of conduct, you know, was just wonderful, you know, to get that and to experience that. And Sam was a real disciplinarian. I mean, he didn't put up with no foolishness, you know. No, he didn't. But he's very old school, you know, and you know, during those days, you know, the old saying that it takes a village, it was very true back then, because, you know, you could do something wrong back then and you might get disciplined 3 or 4 times before you made it home. Then you get disciplined again when you got home. And, you know, people in the neighborhood had the right, you know. And so when I was playing with Sam, my dad, you know, gave Sam the right to handle me as he needed to. handle me for each situation. And, you know, I was young, and there was times, and I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and you know, he would put his foot down. And I think I'm a better person for it.
To do my dirty work. Now you won't see me, 'cause I'm the big boss. You see, I do the paying off when they take care of you. You see, they may shoot you, they may cut you, they may drown you. I just don't know. And crying won't help you none, 'cause when they put you in that water,
Got a black cat bone and a mojo too. It's Blues America.
Listening to Blues America, and I'm your host, Drew Verbis. I'm hanging out at the Chico Chisholm Memorial Studio in Phoenix, live with today's special guest on the other end of this studio phone, Zac Harmon. And we're talking about some of the players that helped to build Zac's foundation as a solo bluesman. Now, Zac, another guy I'd like to mention is ZZ Hill. You played in his band, and I love him for many reasons, but for one thing, he was an important bridge between cultures, young and old, black and white. Like a lot of music lovers, I was listening to his music without even realizing that it was blues. And I think that's something that's really great but hard to accomplish.
Well, I just remember him being such a gracious, quiet person off the stage. And on the stage, he was just this incredible, you know, lion, you know. And it was great playing with him because ZZ was as you said, ZZ was a bridge. You know, ZZ was part of the evolution of the blues. You know, ZZ was that group of individuals that took the blues from the time of Muddy Waters and Howlin' Wolf to the next, the next phase of the evolution, which included Bobby Rush, you know, Luther Allison, you know, guys like that, Albert King and Albert Collins, those guys, you know, Lonnie Brooks, you know, that next group. It just so happened that ZZ was a little further south than many of the other guys, so he, like Bobby Rush, his blues was a little more soulful blues, and it really kind of brought you into this era of Southern soul blues today, which has people like Marvin C, those kind of guys, you know. So that was the bridge, and so it was great to play with ZZ.
And then, of course, there's the great Dorothy Moore, who had the hit with Misty Blue.
Yeah, Dorothy Moore. That was the first major road tour that I did. And I tell you, that was really something. Once again, Dorothy was a person that was respected in Jackson and trusted by my father.
Well, it sounds like you had a solid foundation to mold you into a great bluesman and probably carrying on little different things from all of these players that you mentioned.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm like a sponge, you know, and a little bit of all of that is part of who I am today. Now,
did the road tour that you mentioned help with your encouragement that you needed to make the big move to Los Angeles?
Yeah, it gave me an opportunity to, from a musical perspective, to see other parts of the country. So it did give me confidence that, you know, I could actually go out and do this. That move was championed by my father, you know, because he was, my father was a very stern businessman, and he was, listen, if this is the business you choose, then I need you to go where the business is. And the business was either in New York or Los Angeles.
Blues America. Now that's some home cooking.
Special guest Zac Harmon with Feet Back on the Ground in the Music Bed. Now, Zac, being from Mississippi, do you feel as though you're a torchbearer, having a responsibility to carry on not just the blues, but the tradition of the region you're from, which is largely credited as the birthplace of the blues?
Well, I do feel like I'm a torchbearer, but for more than one reason. People love the blues for a number of reasons. But normally what happens is they fall in love with an era of the blues. And when they fall in love with an era of the blues, they have a tendency to benchmark and judge blues musicians by those musicians of that era. And, I feel like I'm a blues man from a different era. I'm not an uneducated blues man. So I'm a little bit different than, let's say, the guys in the 50s and the 60s. And most of the blues men from Mississippi today, these guys are all degreed people. So I guess the torch that I try to bear is that, listen, blues is the blues, but you don't have to be broke down and uneducated and ignorant to play the blues. This is American classical music. If you look at the guys from Mississippi today, like Jericka Singleton or Vasti Jackson, any of those guys, more so the guys from Central Mississippi. If you look at those guys, Mr. Sip and all those guys, well, guess what? We're all degreed guys. We're all educated guys. So it's a different day, and I think that the torch that we all bear is that let's come into this new era of the blues.
Listening to Blues America.
More with this week's special guest, the star of the show, Zac Harmon, when Blues America returns. But first, some down-home blues by a true veteran, New Orleans native and Freddie King's little brother, Benny Turner, with That's All Right, I'll Get Over You, from the shiny new blues album, When She's Gone, in stores now. And after a short timeout, the blues will continue at the break with the swinging sounds of the Knickerbocker All-Stars from their chart-topping release, Go Back Home to the Blues.